everybody, and welcome to Mid-Ohio as we take on yet another round here on a Tuesday night of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League. So we've crossed the halfway point in our season now. We're into the home stretch, as it were, from Mid-Ohio. The next fall circuit's going to be a little bit tighter, a little bit twistier than the last few. Last week at Road America we had a very good race, but it's going to be very, very different to this one. It's going to be myself, Ewan O'Leary, and hopefully Darragh Thacker will join me in a moment as well for this RaceSpotTV broadcast this evening. Ramiro Augustin-Cisneros will be behind the cameras as always. As I say, we are on round 6 now of the championship in the home stretch, as it were, past halfway. Watkins Glen to come next week, Mosport the week after, and VIR to end the season at the end of October when we will crown a champion in 3 categories. It's all very close in the 3 categories as well, as you're about to see with the championship standings, especially the pro class. It is mighty close here. Martin Wallace only holding 1 point over Matt Smotherman, Ian Carney 4 points back, and followed by Charlie Guillemette, only 15 back. Skylar Bitcoy there as well, although he's 18 points back. Seems like a lot compared to the others, but it's only 5th. Chris Walsh, Craig Copeland, Gene Kelly, Rodney Campbell and Jonathan Labby round out the field. In the beneficiary standings, Louis Rios has taken a small lead in the last couple of weeks. He's 17 points ahead of Nolan Uke, with Philippe Chartier rounding out the top 3. Cameron Lackney is next, and then you've got a bit of a gap. David Bell and John Hicks are tied on points. Tanner Masters, although he's been up front towards the pointy end quite often, is not up towards the front of the championship just yet. John Solada, Cody Durkin and Joshua O'Connor have all missed rounds as well. In the open standings, it's the biggest lead of them all, but only 19 points for Justin Bessett, who rescued a decent result actually last week from Road America after the trials and tribulations and so on. Francisco Vega not able to gain too many points in the end. Mason Cardinale, 3rd place, the Carl Shelton, Nicholas Petita, who rounds out the top 5. Tyler Manning and Zach Pritchard both over 100 points as well. Zach Merrill and Tyler Reid are tied in 8th, and Justin Wells, who rounds out the top 10. So that's how we stand going into this round of the championship. 29 degrees Celsius on the racetrack at the moment. That's 84 degrees Fahrenheit with just gone 5 p.m, or it will be static at 5 p.m. this qualifying session. Shouldn't be too warm for these guys, which is good news for everybody. Good news for the tyre temperature as well, as they try and get that warmed up in the early laps. But that's what we're going to see initially. We're going to straight away see one of the Lamborghinis go backwards in towards turn 1 as well, just behind Chris Walsh here. We'll work out who that was in a moment, but just losing it on turning by the looks of things through that very fast right-hander to start the lap. It doesn't necessarily start the race, the start line normally. It's just after turn 3. Unusual quirk of this circuit, but that is the case. It's one of the Aston Martins, Bradley Beeman, who's just in behind one of his Mad Sim Racing teammates. So how much of a benefit that is going to hold around here at Mid-Ohio, but might be worth a 10th or 2 here or there if you can possibly get it around this venue. Peter McDade for the Fuzzy Speed team in the Aston Martin, one of the beneficiary class drivers, only 13th place in those standings. Only been at a couple of the rounds so far, a couple of the 5 rounds we've seen to date. So we see these first times come in. Matt Smotherman with the best of them, and you'd imagine it's going to stay that way for a little while. Chris Walsh will go over the line and go into 2nd, I think. Maybe 3rd. No, he does get ahead of Bradley Beeman. So straight into 2nd place. So a Pro Class 1 and 2. Although, admittedly, that is to be expected, given the class structure. Don't forget, they're all in the same car class, all in these GT3s, and it's all down to driver skill. Only separated in class by different specifications and requirements for each of our 3 classes that we have week to week. There's Francisco Vega, who's very much chasing a championship in the open class this season. Justin Bessett still the championship leader there. He's got 11th so far as Bessett in this session. And Vega now down towards the end of the back straight, turn 4, where the big overtaking chances of the day are going to happen. And question will remain whether there will be many overtaking chances down the end of that straight or not, because, as I mentioned, it's the start of a 4-race run of tighter circuits, rather, compared to the ones we've seen in the last few weeks. And that could very much change the racing that we see. Smotherman with a 21.1 continues to keep his nose ahead of the rest. Roof Arena jumps up, so does Racing Cardinal jumping up even further. Looks to me like Francisco Vega still warming his tyres up. Doesn't seem to be at quite full speed yet, but I could be proven wrong. Maybe it's just the rather serene way the Ford Mustang glides through this racetrack. As he goes over, yeah, indeed, he is going to be just 10th with that one. And the open class pole position at the moment will still be held by Bradley Beeman. This is Ian Carney. Seems to be going at a bit of a better pace at the moment in the pro class. Doesn't even get anywhere near Smotherman or Chris Walsh. As he comes through the final couple of corners. Carney's third in the championship, don't forget, behind Martin Wallace and Matt Smotherman. So he's certainly one to watch here today, and in fact the remainder of this season as well. Although no time there. Not the hardest place in the world to get a off-track, admittedly. As Chris Walsh flashes the lights, well, there's a bit of frustration it looks like here at the way traffic's being dealt with, and a car off into the gravel just in front as well. It's all happening back here while Smotherman extends his lead. He's the only driver at the moment in the 1-minute 20s. Zach Merrill moves up into 4th position. Tyler Beeman to 5th and goes straight off down at turn 1. Looks intentional into the gravel trap out there. One of the only circuits in the world that I know of that has a named gravel trap. This is on a postcard for any more than that. But China Beach on the outside of turn 4. Goes straight on down the end here. Not sure quite where the name comes from, but that's what the gravel trap is called, supposedly. They certainly do allow or facilitate the slowing of cars without hitting the wall, which is a better solution for things. Do a bit more gravel in some circuits around the world, but not this one. Not at the outside of turn 4 anyway. Proper old school American racetrack, this one. As the next 4 are, as I keep mentioning, maybe with the exception of Watkins Glen, that does have a bit of tarmac runoff these days on the outside of some key corners. But Mosport certainly don't. Certainly not on the build of iRacing, Mosport anyway. Certainly they've gone the way of a bit of tarmac runoff in recent years as well in the real world. As Chris Walsh moves to 2nd. Smotherman still in the mid-20s. Tyler Manning trying to find some space. It's harder than you'd think with 29 drivers in the session at the moment. All of them out there at the same time, admittedly. Some of them deciding that now's not the moment, or maybe never is the moment. Looks like for some of them. But still pretty pushed for space out here. Manning will carry on. He's in 7th place overall. Currently 4th place in the open class. Should be our 2nd fastest class, or at least has been so far in the way that the race winners have been organised over the course of the 11th season, which this is, by the way, of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League. Big thanks as always to the sponsors and partners that make these series and indeed these broadcasts here on RaceSpotTV possible here on Tuesday night. CrowdStrike and Michelin, of course, thanks to their continued support. Of course, Trophy AI for another partnership in season 11. A big thanks to them as well. Glad to have them all on board, and of course, thanks to everyone behind the scenes as always here at the Operation Motorsport group, who help us out with the broadcast on this side of things, especially from our side. Tyler Reid always giving us the standings pretty much immediately as the races happen, which is not well, he doesn't have to do it, so thank you to him for that, and everybody else who organised it behind the scenes. It's Mason Cardinal who comes across the line. He should stay 3rd. question now is going to be about who's going to beat him. Will it be Zach Merrill in the Aston Martin, excuse me, Ford Mustang, obviously, that you can see on the screen down towards turn 4. Rather more open right-hander than maybe you realise sometimes. Over the top of the hill at turn 5. It's like a rally stage there. See that McLaren logo's along. That's the manufacturer breakdown anyway. Of wherever it is. Oh, and Merrill's not going to go better. He's going to go off into the grass. And Tyler Guillemet actually gets himself between the open class leaders, and it looks like we know what the order's going to be in the open class. In the beneficiaries, you can't see in the top 10, but further down, Louis Rioche looks like he's going to take pole by just over a tenth of a second, and Peter McDade, 17th and 18th at the moment. They always do have to fight their way through the middle part of the field, though. It's part of the game in the beneficiary class. There's Tyler Manning through the final corners. Bit of impeding, is there? No, I think he'll be okay. I'll be glad that this is the last lap, because he wouldn't have been able to squeeze another one in with that Porsche right in front of him. Over the line he goes. Does he maybe go ahead of Cardinal? Oh, close, but not quite. Just over a tenth and a half of a second, and Guillemet actually shoves him back to 5th again immediately. But good effort from Tyler Manning there, and he will be the best placed Aston Martin in the field unless Tyler Bierman does anything here. Thought he'd run out of time, to be honest. Ian Carney moves up to 3rd, and Chris Walsh as well moves up. That's Smotherman had taken the pole and was holding the best lap time for a very long time there. Oh, and he does hold it right at the end as well. Look at that, 85 thousandths of a second. And Matt Smotherman's on pole here at Mid-Ohio. Surely now, thought he was on pole for minutes there in that session. He went to the front initially and never relinquished that position until late on, but he won it back as well on the checkered flag. And Matt Smotherman surely will take pole. And there is a bit of a gap between Smotherman and Walsh and the rest of the field, who are at least 5 tenths of a second or more off of the lead. And indeed the pole position here tonight. It's going to be an interesting race between those two. It's going to be exciting in the beneficiary class as well. Louis Rioche is going to get that beneficiary pole, whether he improves here or not. And he doesn't. I don't think it counted, because it would have been an improvement in terms of lap time. He would have moved up another couple of places to 16th, but he must have got an off track somewhere along the line. Hence why he's at further towards the back. No warm-up in this session, of course, so we'll get straight to the grid, ready for round 6 of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League. And it's Matt Smotherman who takes the pole alongside Chris Walsh. Ian Carney will be 3rd with Mason Cardinal in the open class on pole from 4th. Tyler Guillemet then 5th ahead of Tyler Manning, and a load more open class drivers below that, just over a second off of pole. Zach Merrill, Nicholas Bautista, Bradley Bierman and Jacob Little rounding out the top 10. Tyler Bierman starting directly behind Bradley, with Cameron Burke on row 6 with him. Andrew Cooper and Rui Farina on row 7, and Francisco Vega and Justin Bessett, the top 2 in the open class, are on row 8, and behind a load of their fellow classmates. Gene Kelly and Louis Rioche are on row 9. Rioche the beneficiary pole ahead of Peter McDade, who is 2nd. Fab Weaver rounds out the top 20. Dave Bell and Tyler Masters rounds out the top 11. Eric Knight and John Hicks, who rounds out the top 12. Gap start to get a little bit bigger down here. Dan Fendick and Philip Chartier, the last drivers to set times. Tyler Reid, Carl Shelton, Aaron Mack, not setting times in their 3 different manufacturers. Shelton and Mack are not on the grid yet either, so I do fear that they maybe won't start the race here tonight, but let's hope they do. 27 degrees Celsius now on the circuit. I'll convert that to 80 degrees Fahrenheit for those who need it. Pretty sure me and Ramiro live in Celsius land, though. I certainly do. So we're going with 27. It's only going to cool down, and of course these sessions are in static weather, so it's only cooled down between the qualifying and the race. It's not going to cool down any further from now to the checkered flag. I'll be very interested to see where the green flag is actually thrown here, to be honest, because as I say, in real life, the green flag is thrown all the way down towards turn 3. or just through turn 3, which is really a bend in the straight rather than the corner. And the stop finish line, see, the timing line is on the front straight proper, where we are lining up here. So, yes, be interesting to find that one out in a moment, but the pace car will do a lap in front of the field anyway, as it has done all season long. It's an old BMW lockout, as you can see, towards the front. No Martin Wallace here today, which is a bit of a shame. He's the Pro Class Championship leader after 5 rounds. Taken over from Ken Copeland ever since he did the first 2 races and then sadly left us on a Tuesday night. So it's up to Wallace now, but effectively he can call Smugman, I suppose, the championship leader in this situation. He can't even take points off him. We're both going to race ahead and away from Martin Wallace because it is so close. There's a marked difference between those two in qualifying, that's for sure. Smugman a lot quicker than Carney, but Smugman will have challenge from Chris Walsh, who's in the other BMW alongside him, that's for sure. In the other class, as I mentioned, in the open class, Bessett and Vega separated by 19 points, but they're a long way back in the open class standings. And I think in the standings of the open class, they're 11th and 12th. So just me doing a bit of mental maths there, and I've run out of fingers, so I might be slightly wrong, but somewhere around the back end of the top 10, if not outside of it, for Vega and Bessett. Very unusual to see that from both of them. Very unusual from one of them, but both of them at the same day is highly unlikely. They're going to be exciting to watch as well, back in the middle of the pack. We will do that, of course, and along with the beneficiary class leaders as well, who are not that far behind that open class championship battle. As well as the overall battle for the win, which will be compelling as always in these Tuesday nights. Pace car will now pull in. It will see when Matt Smugman gets control of the field here as he goes around turn 12, aptly called the carousel. Don't need to explain why. And the green flag will indeed wave on the front straight. We are green flag racing as Smugman immediately challenged by Walsh down towards turn number 1, with Carney heading down the inside as well, looking for 3rd position. Looking to try and stay with those front 2. It's still side by side, but on the way towards turn 2, Chris Walsh gets through on the outside line through turn 1. A very impressive manoeuvre indeed. There's contact, and the open class pole sitter, Mason Cardinal, I think that is, it goes around, it is. Mason Cardinal's off in the gravel. I'm pretty sure that is Mason Cardinal, the open class pole sitter. Matt Smugman is there in second, and it's Cardinal who's missing. Batista's the new leader. Carney's in with him, by the way, side by side for 4th place after challenging for these top positions into turn 1. He's challenging for 4th now. Batista alongside him. Tyler Beeman and Tyler Manning are going side by side as well. It's all happening at the moment for 6th position between those two. Side by side into the middle sector they go, while the front 3 control this race from the front. Walsh, Smugman and Guillemette. It is a real intense battle further behind. This is what happened to Cardinal. He was touched by Carney, who himself has now dropped down the field with Tyler Manning. Something massive has got. We'll try and get a replay of the whole of lap 1 for that battle from Ian Carney's perspective, because he has been involved in quite something back there. He's no longer involved in that group. Tyler Manning isn't either. Zach Merrill and Jacob Little are going side by side. This is the hammer blow for Manning. Oh, and it's Carney's spin initially. Carney spins, oh, and Manning just hits him. They both have damage after that, and it looks like Carney may be more severe than Manning. They both drop outside the top 10. And just look who's in the top 10 immediately, by the way. Justin Bessett, the open class championship leader, showing exactly why he's the championship leader, because he can get through the chaos on lap 1 like nobody else in that division. And he's challenging for 9th now. Jacob Little, the one going backwards very quickly. He was side by side with Merrill a couple of corners ago. Now he's behind Bessett. Goodness me, what a start. I'll say, when things calm down, we'll have a replay from Ian Carney's perspective on the opening lap, because he made contact with Mason Cardinale, the open class pole sitter, and then spun himself further around the lap and got hit by Tyler Manning. Very eventful. I think in between times he was side by side for fourth as well, actually. So we'll have a look. But Batista here is under severe pressure for the open class lead. I said it would be an exciting fight. I didn't think it would be 8 seconds off of the overall lead on lap 2, but weird things happen on the opening laps of motor races, and this has certainly been one of those. This is Carney's spin. He has 2 goes at that, doesn't he? On the way towards turn 9. Turning initially for the apex, then sort of turn out, almost as if he was losing the rear on turning there. Turned out of it and then had another go, and then spun around right in front of Manning. This meantime is Beeman on the way down towards turn 2, where there was contact, of course, with Cardinale on lap number 1. That's why these guys are fighting for the lead, and he's not here. Not the front anyway. It's Beeman who goes for the exit. But oh, and he spins it! Oh, Bradley Beeman! He tries to get the exit. He tried to get the lead of the open class here on lap 3. But he lights up the rear tyres and he goes around. And he's got to wait for the whole field to come past him as well. It is a disaster at the top of the open class. Justin Bessett suddenly is 5th. He's gone from outside the top 10 to 5th. Louis Rios has gone from 18th to 10th. There are some big movers forward here because of the amount of incidents we've seen early on. There's Rios. He leads the beneficiary class. He's one of the biggest movers forward as well. And this is his latest overtake. Bradley Beeman has the right idea. He's going for the late apex, but he just steps on the power too much too soon. And he goes around into a spin, waiting for the whole field to come past him. Dear oh dear, he'll be filthy with himself about that one, I think. Unforced error, but you can see why he was pushing to get the lead as quickly as possible. Goodness me, what a start we've had here today. You always fear, don't you, at the tighter circuits that it could be a very mundane race, could be a bit slow. Well, this has got off to an absolutely rip-roaring start, this race, for the first 5 minutes. Only 40 to enjoy here tonight, of course. Tyler Reid has also dropped it on the exit. That's 2 Aston Martins on traction on the same lap. Tyler Reid ends up face first in the barrier. Out of turn 9, that was. Well, there's a bit of elevation change to catch you out. Not much happening between the front 3, by the way. The gap's over a second all round. Chris Walsh now leads by a second and a half, despite hitting pole. He's got good race pace versus Smotherman. He's early on. There he is. Actually looks a bit bigger than a second and a half, doesn't it? But that's what the timing screen says. And Smotherman is a second in front of Guillemette as well, who's there or thereabouts, and he's closer to Smotherman than Smotherman is to Walsh, but nevertheless, none of them are anywhere near each other at the moment. That's going to be a very tactical battle to get. This is just an all-out brawl for 4th place. Tyler Beeman now on the back of Nicholas Batista, who's going to be feeling a sense of deja vu, I think, with the Aston Martin, with a driver with the surname Beeman behind him. But it's Tyler Beeman this time, who's putting almost exactly the same pressure on him in exactly the same car into the same corner. Here he comes again towards turn 2. Does he repeat the mistake? Well, it's looking awfully similar for the moment. He pulls to the outside initially. He's going to go for a cutback line. He's a bit tighter through the middle this time. Oh, he's going for exactly the same thing. Oh, it's like watching a replay. But this is what Bradley Beeman was hoping to see. This was the exit he was hoping to achieve. And this might be the lead that he was hoping to get as well, as they go across that other start-finish line there at turn 3. In towards 4. Batista can break late on the outside there. He can get away with it into turn 4. Can he keep the inside though into 5, which is what he needs? No, he can't. And Tyler Beeman cuts across his nose. He takes 4th position in this race ahead of Batista. And Zach Merrill is there now as well. Look at that group behind them, by the way. It is one long line all the way down to Louis Rios, who's hanging on the coattails of these guys. Still in the blue. He's just about here, but not so close as to be associated with them, really. He's got enough space to avoid any incidents and accidents, and the closest drivers in the beneficiary class are having to or make the overtakes that Rios has already made in the first 7 minutes of this race. Championship leader in the beneficiary class, controlling things so far tonight in that Ford Mustang. Oh, spin in the background. Spin for one of the Porsches. And that's Thad Weaver, who's gone around. Oh, and there's another spin as well for John Hicks out of the final turn. And was Weaver collected? Maybe. Unsure. I couldn't see, to be honest, in the distance. There was a lot of smoke, but that might have just been the spin. Let's have a few replays though. First, Aaron Mack, initially, a little bit over the inside curve. You want to take that final corner flat out really, but that's not the way to do it. This is Weaver. Now, does he get collected? Oh, he does get collected quite badly. That's why one of the Aston Martins, and that was Pete McDade, that is. Oh, he didn't have much choice there, did he? Not much chance at all to avoid that one. And that was, by the way, the second place runner in the beneficiary class. He is no longer, in fact, he's no longer on the podium as things stand. Oh, wow, that was close as well. It's all action at the moment. Eric Knight and Dave Bell this time for 15th place. Jacob Little and Louis Rios. 9th place for them. At least that's what they're fighting for. Out front in the open class for the first time tonight, we've got a margin over a second. Tyler Beeman leading with that. Batista still at the cork in the bottle here really, although Merrill, Cooper and Better are a lot closer to each other than they are to Batista, and I wonder whether Merrill's actually going to be under a bit of pressure here by Andrew Cooper on the way down towards turn 4. Is he? No, not this time. They all stay in line. Goodness me, the Porsche looks small in relation to those two Mustangs, doesn't it? GT3 is getting ever bigger by the year. Especially that Mustang, very long. And the Porsche certainly is not. Here comes Bassett. He has a little look there, but no chance. I guess I'm wondering where Francisco Vega is, by the way. He's the other driver fighting for a championship in the open class. He's quite made progress the same speed as Justin Bassett, but he is in 11th. So he has made good progress, just not quite at the speed, as I say, of his championship rival, and indeed the championship leader from the open class. Turn 1 again, and Cooper seems to be under the most pressure here by some distance, only just in front of Justin Bassett for 7th, and there goes Bassett. Oh, it's a late look, and Cooper didn't want to give that one up straight away at all there. Dove for the apex and make sure to cut off the Mustang. Therefore Bassett's going to have no run out of turn 2 and no chance into turn 4. Just over 10 minutes gone. It has been a very lively start to this race here tonight. Because Batista still under a lot of pressure in the group where the most action has been created. Oh, it's a look down the inside from Merrill. That was... Oh, and he's hit him! Merrill's hit him! He spins to the inside. Is he going to get collected here? Oh, Rios! The beneficiary class leader, Louis Rios, hits him this time. It's another disaster through the night. Merrill and Rios, the ones who get involved, and it's going to be a meatball for Louis Rios, the championship leader in the beneficiary class and the race leader tonight. Gets involved in contact, and he is going to come down pit lane. He has to. Batista does as well, rather bizarrely. I guess he doesn't want a part of this group anymore either, but we've seen this 2 or 3 times tonight already. And I just wonder how much Louis Rios could really see of that as he went over the brow of the hill there, and indeed following another driver very closely. Now, it may not be all over. Just watch that pit stop time for Louis Rios on the right hand side of your screen. 8.4 seconds, you see. He'll take a fast repair and take what he needs to take fuel-wise, and he will get to the end from there, I think. It might be quite tight, actually, but I think he will at Mid-Ohio. So he might be okay. He didn't actually lose that much time on the circuit with the damage, because it happened so late on in the lap. However, he will have lost some time, and that pit stop might well be longer than what some of the others in his class might have to do here. There, and now Cooper and Bessett. Justin Bessett's in third place in the open class. Ali Vegas in fifth to be fair to him. In terms of other contenders, by the way, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Cardinell's not that far behind, but he got spun at turn one. He could have done without that, certainly. Cal Shelton close, but he's not up there tonight. Nicholas Batista's not that far away. He just kind of managed that pitch up, but Batista's the only one who's really having a decent run at the moment, and he's taking a tactical early stop here as well. Never normally a great sign when someone takes a tactical stop like that, but it might be fine this time for Batista. Just wait and see how much traffic he ends up in. I think he's a lap down, which could be a bit of an issue. Timing screen. Oh, sorry, no, he's only 52 seconds behind, but he is behind Dan Fendick. Here's the onboard ride with Justin Bessett, just in behind Andrew Cooper for fifth position as well. As it's showing as he all the overtakes in one go, or a bit of patience, and that's exactly what we're seeing from Bessett at the moment. So keep a bit tighter to turn one. Cooper didn't exactly get that right. And here comes Justin Bessett, the championship leader, looking to rub salt into the wounds of those chasing him. Outside line. Is he going to go for the switchback? Is he just going to do it all the way around? Oh, he's been shepherded out there very nicely by Cooper. That's nice defending. And if the Porsche had a bit more straight line speed, he'd probably keep this place, but it doesn't. And Bessett has a better run anyway. So despite the longer run around turn 3 and the longer run down this straight, Bessett is going to get the place, I think. Cooper brakes late though on the inside. He's not willing to give this one up just yet. Turn 5. He's still there. Side by side. Oh, he's a bit wide though. He's quite wide, Cooper. Again into the right-hander. Bessett on the outside this time. He's on the inside for the next. It constantly twists and turns again, and there's contact this time. Bessett on the outside for 8 and 9, and finally that's what gets them single file again. But he's going to go for the cutback through Thunder Valley. And eventually, Cooper keeps the position. What a great battle between these two. Oh, and it's not over. Cooper wide. Here comes Bessett on the outside. He's going to be in the grass. Wow, that was close. If you end up in the grass there, you'll lose at least that place to Jacob Little, maybe more. A good job of defending from Cooper, but my goodness, they're losing themselves a lot of time. Not even halfway through the race yet, and they're half a minute off the lead. This is Zach Merrill. Oh, having a spin through from the valley. Didn't touch the wall at least. Here's Carl Shelton doing almost exactly the same thing. Oh, and he hits the wall as well. That's not quite the same. Dave Bell also having a spin. That's turn 5. It's crests and so on. Up and over the top of the hills. Really annoying for these cars. That's Merrill's spin from a few minutes ago. So much has happened. Yeah, there's Rios' collision. Tanner Masters now leads, by the way, in the beneficiary class as a result of that. It'll be Rios Ulrich, one of our drivers who... Oh, and a spin for Bessett. Justin Bessett goes for a spin. The Open Class Championship leader is not immune to the trouble tonight. Francisco Vega will get through, and he'll start to gain points on his rival. Here comes Cameron Burke as well. And Bessett's outside the top 5 with one mistake. And Bessett decides to come in. A very sensible call. I know the temperatures aren't too high, but if you spin, those tyre temperatures will be. So a trip down pit lane would just cool them nicely, even if just for a few tens of seconds, maybe even less. Pit stops are quite erratic in this series, really, in terms of their length. So we just have to sort of keep an eye on it, really, on how long it takes. Vega and Burke on the way now towards turn 4. Vega suddenly in 4th place in the open class. He's now the one who's been picking them off quietly and confidently on his own. His best spin just too fast into turn 9. Didn't even make contact in the end with Cooper. Just went around completely on his own. Vega has got a job to do here, and he's got to focus forward rather than behind him at the moment. Much easier said than done, as proven. Here comes Burke through the carousel. Oh, and there he goes, out of the carousel. In through the final corner, and oh, he nearly rolls onto the circuit as well. That's Mason Cardinal in the background there, by the way. Goodness me. That shows you how wild this race has been. The man who was spun around on lap 1 through turn 2, in front of the whole field, meaning he lost all those places, is now suddenly back in 8th, 9th place again. Didn't even touch the curb there, Burke. He just went completely around on his own there. Dear me. There's been quite some first half to the race, that's for sure. Gene Kelly in the middle of this, a pro driver in an otherwise open beneficiary mix. Sandwiched by Vega and Cardinal, who does have good speed. I mean, saw that in qualifying, but even in race pace as well. We've seen beneficiary class drivers have problems and still come through to win their class, so why not in the open class here tonight, I wonder. And speaking of the beneficiary class, there's Tanner Masters, who's leading it in the Aston just behind this group and at a safe distance from it as well. Having said that, I said that Louis Rios was a safe distance from the group. He eventually got caught up in, so there you go. Maybe he needs to be further back than that. Here comes Cardinal down the inside of Gene Kelly, who's putting up a bit of resistance, but not loads. And through goes Mason Cardinal into 8th position, still down 4 on where he started. Kelly forced to try and find a way back through again, but that's going to be very difficult indeed. Cardinal much more likely to be eyes forward and gaining places again. It's Chris Walsh who's leading the race. Over 2 seconds in front of Matt Smith. It's weird, isn't it, how the qualifying of race paces just simply don't align at all sometimes when you are when you're watching a race. I mean, Smithman was just about quicker than Walsh in qualifying. Guess there was nothing really to choose between them, but there's certainly no arguments about who is quicker at the moment. This could change it, though. A bit of lap traffic is going to be key tonight with the short nature of this circuit, and the Porsche not exactly getting out the way. This is Thad Weaver, I think, going 2 laps down. Not even about staying on the lead lap, but staying just 1 lap down as opposed to 2. There's a look in the background there from Tyler Reid. He gets through on that. Oh no, it doesn't. In fact, John Hicks keeps 16th. You can see Fendick with a bit of a gap again as a result. He'll enjoy that, and he'll maybe in the rearview mirror just watch a bit of side by side again here as Tyler Reid gets into the slipstream of John Hicks. He's not going to manage it down towards turn 4 by the looks of it. And who's that in the background there? Pete McDade and Louis Rios. He's now in the back of the group. Rios behind McDade, so that could be a fat battle for the beneficiary class win a bit later. Depends where Tanner Masters comes out, I suppose. have spent 2 more seconds in the pit lane compared to McDade, as John Hicks loses that place pretty comfortably by going wide at turn 9. Louis Rios would fancy his chances on coming through. Oh, and there's a gift. Absolute gift from Pete McDade, who runs wide through the carousel, and Rios gets 1 gift. He'll now have 2. That McLaren slow. As there's more stops here. Eric Knight's the latest of them to come in. There are lots of cars down pit lane, by the way, getting long repairs. Unfortunately, it looks like Kyle Shelton, Dave Bell and Bradley Beeman are not going to be seeing this race again tonight, which is a real shame for them. And again, it's that group that Mason Cardinale has got himself to the front of now. He'll be very pleased about that, Francisco Vega. Now there's a lap car directly behind him, and then Gene Kelly. And Vega comes in. Not the worst idea. From Edison. This is why he's back here again. Oh, loose over the top of the hill at turn 7. Or went wide at 8 and 9. Which forced him to lose those positions. And there goes some of his hard work in the last few moments. This group has been by far the entertainment of tonight. Cardinale getting away from it now, but it's Gene Kelly, Tanner Masters and Tyler Manning now who are involved in it. I just wonder whether Masters would be better placed to pit here, though, because his closest rival in this race, I believe, will be Louis Rios still, and he's out doing clean air at the moment, not in traffic like Masters in. Maybe Masters feels he wouldn't be going very much quicker if he was on his own at the moment anyway. There he is in front, Tyler Manning. Now, is that him pulling wide? I think it is. Yeah, Manning's not leaving space for someone on the outside there. That is a driver coming into the pit lane, following Cardinale, actually. Or is it? No, mate. No, that's Masters right there. Cardinale has come in, for sure, but Tanner Masters there went wide as if he was going straight to the pit lane. It turned out he was just letting Tyler Manning through. Very unusual. Could let that happen by making a pit stop, but never mind. Clearly not that concerned about the presence of Louis Rios behind. Well, I think it's still the best place to the beneficiaries who've stops. Yeah. In fact, Masters is in amongst quite a lot of drivers who have stopped in other classes up here, so maybe he's doing all right for himself by staying with them. Particularly being held up by them, you wouldn't imagine, if they're in a higher division than he is. Bessett and Cardinale. There's only one driver who's quickest out of these two, that's for sure, and that's Justin Bessett for sure, but sorry, that's Mason Cardinale, but how can Justin Bessett hold on and defend? He's the championship leader after all, and he'll want every point he can get. Here comes Cardinale through Thunder Valley, and even has a peek down the inside there at turn 11. Very wide from Bessett. So many different lines you can take through the carousel. Not all of them are quick. Cardinale gets hooked up nicely on the curve there on the left-hand side in towards turn 1, and here he comes into 2. He's going to have a big dive. Look at that. And Bessett saw that coming. He facilitated that down the inside, but he wants to fight it. Oh, what a run round the outside from the championship leader. Justin Bessett holds on to 10th with a great run through there. Fantastic. In the background, Chris Walsh is not far off lapping these two. But they're having an extraordinary fight. Here comes Cardinal down the inside. He's not going to manage it there. Justin Bassett holds on. But that was really tight between the two of them. So close to contact, yet they didn't make any, not even a touch. And Bassett's run around the outside there was worthy of a class victory tonight. Although he isn't going to get it. Not for that anyway. Not under any circumstances, I don't think. But that was spectacular. Only 12 minutes to go as we wind down round 6 of this championship tonight. This is what's happened to Philip Chartier through turn 11. Forces the Porsche to come to an almost complete stop as he was spinning around there, and only a lap later Aaron Mack goes waiting for the spin. There it is. Another turn 12. Is that Merrill as well? Just on turn in there. Very much like we saw with that Lamborghini in qualifying. There's Chris Walsh, who's straight back out again. Lots of clean air for the leaders as they come out of pit lane after earlier stops than some, which is not always a luxury they have. They often find themselves in a lot of traffic if they can't push it as far as some others, but such as the lead that the pro guys have got here today. He does not have to worry about that at all. Not even a little bit. There goes Gene Kelly, 4th place in the pro class coming in. Far behind Andrew Cooper, who is now 4th in the open class, although wasn't when he pitted. As you can see, Carl Shelton's pit stop is certainly for more than a bit of fuel. It's unfortunate for him, he's one of those lurkers in the AM Championship. But in the Open Championship, I should say. "17 minutes nearly his repairers. Smotherman continues on another lap. Less than 10 minutes to go here. I wonder how much he can shorten his fuel fill by here, and whether he can get it low enough that he can be near Walsh at the end of this. 6.3 seconds for Walsh in the pit box. There is the transit time as well, but there is no difference, obviously, between driver to driver on that. So it's all about that stop time. As Tyler Beeman gets past Jacob Little, who comes into the pit lane as well. So the field is not quite cleansed in the open class, but at least the driver who was leading it before is leading it again. And that's Tyler Beeman, who's in 4th. Tanner Masters also comes in from the beneficiary class. So this is going to cleanse the field in the beneficiary class to help us see whether it is Louis Rios who's in the lead of this race, or whether it is still Tanner Masters. It'll be very interesting to find out. Rios is only 4.8 from Masters. I reckon he'll be out in front here, but we'll see. Masters exits. He's outside the top 10 now. But Rios, he's not far behind him, Louis Rios. It's a big group from 10th place on backwards. A very big group. And the front 2 overall are in as well. So there's Vega. And then Batista. Reed just gets past Tanner Masters as well. So he is right in the clutches of Louis Rios down the back of the group. And here they go, actually. You can see Rios in the blue and reddish Mustang. Just having a look there down the inside, but doesn't make the move for now. He's got 8 minutes to figure out how he's going to win this beneficiary class here tonight. Tom Hicks 22 seconds in the box, really too long, but there's only a couple left to come in now. Tyler Reed and Dan Fendick will be the only ones into pit lane, and Reed will get out of the middle of this group, you'd imagine, on this lap. Here, let's see. Anybody shooting off? There we go. That's Reed, and so that's the end of the pit stops. all about the on-track battles now from ninth place on backwards. Oh, he's miles overshot himself there. It's a very early box, to be fair to him, but even so, he's gone a long way too long there. Vega again on the defensive. That's Nicholas Batista, who's just behind. Tanner just still in front of Luis Rios further back, but they are in here as well. Vega looks again like he's going to lose points to Bettit, which is going to feel like a missed opportunity, I think. I feel that this is not one of Bettit's stronger circuits. He's quite performed around here as he has done at some others, and it might be a one he's got away with here today, if he can get to the end ahead of Vega again and extending his championship lead broadly as well, although letting 5 people finish in front of you, it's never great. That was Masters going a bit wide, and here Rios was coming on the outside for the final turn, but couldn't do it. Jacob Little now has been overtaken by Cardinal. That looked like a very easy pass for 7th. Yeah, it was a mistake from Little, who drops one long way off now. Who's going to make that mistake in that 10th place group, I wonder, if anybody? Towards turn 4. Rios, the closest of the 4 again. This is what, yeah, that's how Little went wide. And therefore Cardinal just went straight through. On to turn 1. And there is Smotherman in front of Chris Walsh with just over 5 minutes remaining. His pit stop 2 seconds shorter than Chris Walsh's. I thought the gap was big enough for that kind of thing not to matter, but clearly it has done here. And Smotherman has got to just defend for the last 5 minutes to try and keep the victory here. Oh, and he will do, because Chris Walsh has gone for a spin. Well, it looks like the battle for the lead is all sorted now. The spin out of turn 6 into 7 is unusual, as it is race defining. And Matt Smotherman can now cruise. He's got 4 laps still remaining, but he can cruise from now. This is what happened. Oh, just goes for a spin through turn 6, just too fast through the middle. There's just not enough grip for that, and he goes around Chris Walsh. Meantime, Luis Rios is back in front of Tanner Masters, who's having to fend off some of the others behind. I think it's Gene Kelly who's right behind him. Yeah, it is. So if Masters gets passed by Kelly, I think Luis Rios is to lose, which would be remarkable considering the incident he had earlier on today. Through here, turn 9 it was. Three laps for these guys to go as they cross the line here. Batista still defending. Spent the whole 40 minutes defending effectively from different drivers who've been popping up right behind him at various points throughout this race. There's again on that sort of half defensive line really from Luis Rios, who's got a decision to make here, whether he wants to get drawn into a potential battle or whether he's going to just sit there behind. And get our answer on the way towards turn 4 this time. Yep, he's going to sit behind. And it's a dangerous call because Masters is not going to be that far away and is going to pass up any chances to get ahead of him either. probably reading the text on the back of Louis Rios behind on the back of Nicholas Batista's car, if you can read it there. Not sure how much chuckling that Louis Rios should be doing about that at the moment, or whether that's for later on, but he is chasing Batista at the moment. Batista, the previous Open class leader, don't forget, in this race today. But Rios has really got a, well, by a decision to make. I mean, he's got to try and pass Batista, really. Masters is too close for comfort there. It's already made clear, I think, Rios, what he wants to do. He wants to stay behind and trust that the BMW is going to be fast enough, but I'm not sure it is at the moment. Not if he wants to be pressure-free to the end here, which I'm sure Louis Rios does after the pressure exerted on him throughout the day. Oh, and that wasn't a very good line out of turn 2 at all. I wonder whether he's letting him have this. Indeed he is. Nicholas Batista lets the beneficiary class leaders go through so they can resume their battle, and they will in the last 90 seconds of this race. Oh, and Rios spins! He drops it on the exit of turn 5. He's had one meatball and now a spin through this middle sector. And that's all hopes of a race win at the end tonight, going up in smoke at the end of the race. In the final 2 minutes indeed, Matt Smotherman is not far away from taking the white flag. And Louis Rios has just dropped it on the exit over the top of the hill here through turn 5 and gone into a spin. He's hit the wall kind of hard as well. I think he'll be okay with that, but it is disappointment for Rios as Matt Smotherman comes into the final corner. So he's been caught by Walsh again. Not sure whether there's reasons for that at the moment, but he's going to see the white flag and one more to go, and he's going to see Louis Rios as well. See, stop in front of him. Rios is fighting with Pete McDade for second place in the beneficiaries class and holding on to that position at the moment as well. He'll be hoping that McDade is lapped by Smotherman and that he isn't. That could be pretty difficult to try and coordinate. Out front for Matt Smotherman, I think it's fair to say this is a day that takes him to the championship lead. We all knew that would be the case anyway. But this really is the day where he seizes this championship lead. Not least because he's come under pressure as well. Chris Walsh has been the better driver in race pace of the two of them. And Smotherman has just not made any errors and used his speed, which is clearly superior to everybody else, when he needed to. McDade and Rios still battling front, and I wonder whether that's creating a bit of Smotherman's loss of time in these final moments, maybe artificially so. But he's going to let them do it. He knows they're in a class battle, and the first driver who would need to pass definitely doesn't want to be overtaken, so he leaves them be. But he comes around the 4-0 corner now to win round 6 of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League in Series 11. It's 2.7 seconds it's at the line. It actually goes up to 5 at the end, but Smotherman wins it at Mid-Ohio. 2.7 it will settle at, and he will take the championship lead with that victory as well. Tyler Beeman will be in 4th place by the end of the day, and it's a good fight through from him in the open class on a day where Bessett and Vega, the top two in the championship, struggled, and it indeed finished further down. They in fact are fighting just up the road from this Tanner Masters. They're just side by side. I think they flashed through your shot there for a moment. Vega trying to gain points on Bessett right at the very end here with a 9th place. Oh, and he's off. There's definitely been contact between the championship rivals, because Bessett was picking himself out of the grass there a bit, but Vega's off the circuit properly. So there's definitely something to look at there, look into. But through the final corners, Tanner Masters is going to win in the beneficiaries class. Well, they're picking up the pieces of Louis Rios' mistakes after putting that pressure on him in the final laps. He takes a well-deserved victory here from Mid-Ohio in the beneficiary class. Well, what a fantastic race that was. They're always short and sharp, these ones, but my goodness, that was energetic. It's Matt Smotherman who wins it by just 2.7 in the end. Chris Walsh and Tyler Gullabet, who's with them on the podium. Open class victory goes to Tyler Beeman, who Tyler Manning and Andrew Cooper will share the podium with. Mason Cardinale with a great drive to get back to 7th after being spun on the opening lap. Jacob Little, Justin Bessett in the end were 8th and 9th for Tanner Masters, who got into the top 10 on the very last lap because Bessett had an incident with Vega. Vega drops to 13th. Batista and Gene Kelly also move up a place. Peter McDade and Louis Rios will be on the podium of the beneficiary class, and hopefully we'll chat to them too in a moment. Eric Knight, Ian Carney, Cameron Burke, Rudy Farina and Zach Merrill were all 1 lap down. And a bit further down, it was Tyler Reid, Aaron Mack and John Hicks also a lap down. Philip Chiatti as well. Thad Weaver and Dan Fendick 2 down. And then the retirements, Dave Bell, Bradley Beeman and Carl Shelton. So all 29 did get to the start line in the end, despite some of those at the back being a little bit sluggish to get onto the grid at the time as they did. Nobody in the waiting room just for the moment. Just wonder before we play any interviews, and if we indeed do get any, whether we can see that incident between Vega and Bessett on the very last lap there. They were battling side by side through the S's and towards turn 9 seemingly. They did come unstuck towards the end of the lap, so Vega ended up dropping to 13th after fighting for 8th. And another chapter in that Open Class Championship story goes the way of Justin Bessett here in this season. Not a season that he's dominating, I wouldn't say yet, but he's starting to get that way a little bit with the gap he's got in the Open Class. Let's put that on hold for a second and chat meantime to the beneficiary class winner, Tanner Masters, who can now join us. Tanner, welcome in. Congratulations on a beneficiaries class victory here tonight from Mid-Ohio. How did you find that race today with the uncertainty, I suppose, of Louis Rios making that early enforced pit stop and you being on the other sides of the circuit for such a long time? How different did that make it to race against someone who wasn't actually alongside you?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I knew he made that pit stop early on, right? Because I think they had a spin or something. But I didn't expect him to be so close when I came out of my pit stop. So I honestly thought I was going to cruise in pretty smooth sailing until I saw him in my rear view after the pit. So it was kind of unnerving.
The faster pair certainly helps out, that's for sure. But what were your emotions in the final couple of laps there as Rios, sadly for him, made that spin and you were able to, in the end, actually not have to make a pass on the circuit and go through to the win?
Oh, well, it's always an emotional, especially when you're coming off of last week when I unfortunately got caught up and finished in in last. So having him spin, unfortunately, in the midst of what I perceived to be a really, really fun battle, the emotions were through the roof. I was very excited, just knowing that all I had to do was keep the car collected and just cross the line, because if he hadn't spun, there was no catching him, unfortunately. So.
Well, congratulations on having the cleanest race, I think, of those in the beneficiary class here today, and therefore taking the race win. And thanks for coming to have a chat with us at the end as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks very much. That is Tanner Masters, who wins tonight from Mid-Ohio, just in front of Louis Rios, who can also chat to us now as well. Louis, welcome in. Good to have you with us. How are you feeling at the end of that one? A race of trials and tribulations, it looked like for you?
Yeah, tired. Tired and a little frustrated. But that's racing, man.
I can certainly imagine. Tell us about the couple of incidents, starting with the first one. I mean, how much did you see and how much time did you have actually to react as you were going over the crest of that hill there? And there was I forget who it was, but someone spun right in front of you through turn 9.
Yeah, so reaction time wise, it was a really, really small amount of time that I had to react. I was trying to judge whether he was going to slide over to the outside or if he's going to kind of cut back in, but then he just stayed dead in the middle of the track. So yeah, just got unlucky there.
And the last one, what about the final few laps there? Would you describe it as an unforced error, or was it the pressure that you were being put under?
No, unforced error. I mean, you guys could see I had the pace. I mean, I was still running a pretty good time there with the dead tires and everything. I just overcooked it. was a little frustrated with the traffic earlier, and then once I got past it, I was excited to put the foot down to the floor, and yeah, I just did it at the wrong place.
Yeah, well, it's still a second place in class here tonight, and of course, therefore, an extension of the championship lead with Nolan not here. So, congratulations on another podium anyway, Louis, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race as well.
Hey, thank you to guys for a great broadcast every week, man, seriously. And thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to Opmo for putting these races on. It's always a fun time.
Thanks so much. That's Louis Rios, who finishes second in the beneficiary class here tonight. Doesn't look like Pete McDade is going to join us, or indeed anybody else who is able to join us here at the end tonight. So that will just about do it from us here at RaceSpotTV in the latest round of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League from Mid-Ohio. As mentioned, this is the first in a run of 4 twistier circuits to end out this season, and there are still 3 great championships to settle, although 3 championship leaders are starting to pull ahead. Matt Smotherman with a race victory here tonight will take the Pro Class Championship lead. Beneficiary Class leader Louis Rios, who we were just chatting to there, will have extended his lead further from 17 points today, and Justin Bessett, at least pending any post-race investigations, will hold more than 20 points over his closest rival coming into today, Francisco Vega, although Mason Cardinale will have gained a little bit, rather crucially, in that Open Class Championship, which is certainly the most interesting, I would say, of the 3. Certainly was the most interesting of the 3 classes tonight, that's for sure. A big thanks to everyone for tuning in. It's been great to have you. We'll be back again in 1 week's time, October 14th, from Watkins Glen. Make sure you join us again at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember, of course, this is the time of year where those countries and states of the world who change clocks, put them forward or back, you need to watch out for the conversion rate. But we will be on from 8 p.m. Eastern Time, whatever time that is in your part of the world. So just be aware of that over the next few weeks. October 14th, make sure you join us. For now, though, that's it from the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing series here tonight from Mid-Ohio. A Matt Smotherman victory in a yo-yo race with Chris Walsh at the front. Tyler Beeman winning in the Open class, and Tanner Masters again in the beneficiary class as well. Come back next week to find out what happens from Watkins Glen. But from myself, Ewan O'Leary, in commentary, and Romero Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras here tonight, it's goodbye from all of us at RaceSpotTV, and we'll see you again in 1 week's time at Watkins Glen.